There's a version of you that opens a new game and immediately alt-tabs to a wiki, not because you're impatient, because almost every game trained you to. Quest markers, damage numbers, a little arrow that points, gently, insistently, toward the thing you're supposed to do next. Most games are afraid of the silence between I don't know what to do and I figured it out. So they feel it, and there are the games that don't. The ones that hand you nothing. No marker, no journal, no glowing outline. And trust that a not knowing is the actual experience. This isn't laziness. It's not an unfinished tutorial. It's a design philosophy with a name, and once you see it, you can't stop noticing which games have the nerve to use it. I want to talk about withheld information as a design tool, not an absence of guidance, but a harder, more deliberate kind of guidance. And I want to be honest about the cost of it too, because this philosophy has a body count of confused, frustrated players behind every one of its triumphs. It would be a remiss of me to talk about its stopping and not start here, because otherwise might be the purest expression of this idea ever shipped. There is no quest log in Outer Wilds. There is no journal the game writes for you. Everything you learn, every clue about a dead island civilization, every solar system mystery, every gut punch realization about what's actually happening to this universe gets stored in exactly one place, your own memory. The game gives you a ship's log that organizes what you found, but it never tells you what it means. The part isn't entirely yours. This sounds like a small design choice. It isn't. It means two players can finish Outer Wilds having taken completely different paths to the same understanding, because the game refuses to funnel you toward a correct audit of discovery. You stumble onto a piece of the puzzle in a swamp, or a piece of the puzzle at the bottom of the ocean, and the game trusts that you're smart enough to connect it to something you saw 4 hours ago on a different planet entirely. There's no other way to build this game. The moment you add a quest mark to Outer Wilds, you don't get a slightly easier version of the same experience. You get a fundamentally different game, because the entire emotional core is the feeling of your own brain closing the gap. Take that away, and you remove the thing that the game is actually about. Dark Souls approaches this from the opposite direction. Where Outer Wilds withholds structure, Dark Souls withholds safety. There's no waypoint telling you Sans Fortress is a trap disguised as a shortcut. No warning before a boulder-triggered corridor turns into a boulder-triggered graveyard. Item descriptions are written like riddles. Flavor text that occasionally, almost accidentally, contains the actual mechanical information you need to survive. NPCs vanish permanently if you're not paying attention to where they're standing. The game will let a questline fail silently, forever, and never tell you it happened. This is punishing. It's also deliberately the entire vocabulary of the genre it created. From Software isn't withholding information because they forgot to include a tutorial. They're withholding it because death in Dark Souls is supposed to be the tutorial. You don't learn that a fog gate leads to a boss fight by reading a warning. You learn it by walking through one unprepared, dying, and understanding with your whole body, not just your eyes. That fog gaze means something now. Tunic takes the idea and turns it into a joke, and then turns the joke into one of the smarter tricks in recent game design. The game gives you an instruction manual, a real one, pages you physically find scattered through the world, exactly like the paper manuals that used to come in game boxes decades ago. Except this manual is written in a language you can't read. Most of the text is an invented alphabet. You're handed the tutorial and immediately locked out of insanity. But the manual isn't useless. It has diagrams, numbers, little sketches of combat maneuvers, and map fragments that make sense even when the words around them don't. Tunic is betting correctly that a huge amount of tutorial design already communicates through image, layout, and repetition, and that most of us have just never noticed because the words were always there, doing the heavy lifting for us. Take the words away, and suddenly you're doing archaeology on your own game manual, piecing together a moveset from context clues alone. It's the same philosophy as Dark Souls and Outer Wilds, just aim at the tutorial itself instead of the word. So why does withholding information feel so good when it should, by every normal instinct, feel bad? Because knowledge you're handed and knowledge you earn are not stored the same way. A quest marker tells you where to go, and the information evaporates the second you arrive. But the first time you recognize an item description's Dark Souls as a warning, or connect two facts across two different planets in Outer Wilds, or crack a single symbol in Tunic's manual, that knowledge is yours in a way that Waypoint never could be. It's the difference between being told a secret and figuring one out. Only one of those actually feels like intelligence. Not holding your hand isn't the absence of guidance, it's a harder kind of guidance. One that trusts the player to build the map themselves, instead of following someone else. Outer Wilds, Dark Souls, Tunic, none of those games are silent by accident. They're silent on purpose, in three completely different ways, toward the same goal, making you feel like the discovery was yours. The best tutorial ever played probably never called itself one.